Okay, welcome back folks. Welcome to another CDPR 20th anniversary live stream. As we did for the past 3 weeks, this week is going to be the same, where we're going to follow the stream, obviously have a pre-show before that, and after that talk about what we have seen so far. So this week, it's actually going to be about The Witcher 3 Hearts and Stone. And it's going to be interesting because honestly I'm a huge fan of this. Whoa, there's a plane. I'm a huge fan of this expansion, so we're gonna talk about it. Now, the reason why I started earlier is because there is some news which I want to cover before that, like for example, the Knights of the Old Republic news, because the game, or well, the remake project was delayed indefinitely. But before we get into that, thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining the stream, and at the same time, I just want to say that there won't be any new announcements on the CD Projekt stream, so if you were waiting for an announcement or anything like that, it's not happening, it's simply not happening. But at least it's going to be interesting to kind of learn more about Hearts and Stone, because they actually have the composer, they have Marcin, I cannot pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, but we all know who I'm talking about, the main CDPR composer. I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce that last name. I've tried a lot, but failed many times. And they tell me, like, they basically tell me like the last name and I forget it in like a day, because I don't remember names or last names. I remember faces the most. So, without further wasting everyone's time, let's talk about Kotor. Hey, hello everyone. Young Demimonde. Hello, what's up? Hello, Ethereal Dreamer. Grep, hello. Sebastio. Freedom of speech. You have a work in the morning. Ah, man, that sucks. Hello. By the way, if the camera stops working, just let me know, because I have to fix it every single time. Alright, so before we get into CD Projekt RED and all of that, we're going to talk about Kotor. So if you're not following, Knights of the Old Republic remake, which is done by Asper, has been delayed indefinitely. According to Bloomberg and Jason Schreier, which I'm not really, we don't really like each other all that much, but at the same time, he is a journalist after all. We have learned that basically the project was delayed indefinitely. The vertical slice they had for the game wasn't working, or it wasn't good. So what they decided to do ultimately is just, delay it until 2025, according to some of the reports they actually were talking about, because the game is not even ready for 2022. And so far, this game was actually in development for 3 years. So we can say that Asper Media has been aspiring a little bit too much, and their aspirations are now dead in the water, sadly. But yeah, when it comes to the actual news, this is what we know about it so far. So the development of the upcoming Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake for PlayStation 5 and PC is on pause. The game art director and design director were also fired earlier this month after the development team showed a demo of the game to Lucasfilm and Sony. So it does mean that this demo, the vertical slice, just wasn't good, it wasn't panning out, and basically the 3 years they invested into it are now pretty much ruined. Now, at the same time, whenever they come out and they say like it's going to be delayed indefinitely and we're looking for other project opportunities, this means something went wrong terribly, like a lot. And sadly, I don't think we're gonna be seeing this game anytime soon. And also, I'm worried that we're not going to see Knights of the Old Republic remake at all, because whenever you have a problem like this, if you do remember Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, they also had problems with the design director, blah blah blah, and now the game is pretty much on ice. I hope this doesn't happen to Kotor, but even if this comes out, it's gonna be interesting to see, like, okay, is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? Because Kotor is one of the best games of all time, according to my opinion at least. And whenever you're trying to remake something which people like a lot and it doesn't work like the original did, you're going to fail ultimately. So basically the realistic target is now 2025. This is wild. So they also said this: Saber Interactive, another Embracer Group studio, is also helping with development. And Bloomberg says that some at Asper believe that Saber could take over. Asper, Embracer Group and Sony didn't immediately reply to request for comment, which does mean that we might have a different developer on this overall. Now, of course, when it comes to Saber Interactive and Asper, so basically Asper Media is owned by Saber Interactive, and then Saber Interactive is owned by Embracer Group. And how they function is that Embracer is right now one of the biggest investment companies when it comes to video games. They're huge, but they're just working on the background. But the studios they have under them, or companies, have some sort of an autonomy, meaning that they can develop somewhat their own projects if those projects can make money, and they will be left alone in some areas. Of course, in other areas you're gonna have management come to you and say you need to work on this project. That's about it. If you don't like it, well, this is what happens. And also, Saber Interactive was developing the Witcher 3 upgrade, and that also had problems and issues, which does seem, because when Witcher 3 upgrade was returned to CD Projekt RED, so they continued development on it, we didn't really have anything about it. And usually when that happens, things didn't really pan out well. So it does seem that Asper and both Saber were taking too many projects on, and they probably said to CDPR, look, we're gonna have this in a year and a half, it's gonna be ready, and it wasn't, and problems came. So yes, when it comes to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, it's on pause indefinitely. And honestly, 2025, that's a bit of a too positive opinion if you ask me. The Last of Us remake, KOTOR remake. Yeah, if it wasn't $70, man. Especially because those $70 in a different country, it's double that money, like for example here. Yeah, when it comes to announcements, there won't be any announcements for the next Witcher or anything like that during the stream, just so everyone can know. That is not happening. But yeah, things are not looking well for KOTOR, and I didn't really expect this because I was really looking forward to this, because, you know, it's gonna be a fresh gameplay, it's going to attract more people. But yeah, this thing is not going to be anywhere, sadly. Alright, now, that's pretty much when it comes to KOTOR news. And also I'm going to upload this as a clip, because I want to test out how these things would work on the channel. If they work well, I'm going to create a different channel where I'm just going to post clips on of my streams, because I am planning to stream a bit more. Asper are not reliable in making remakes or ports. They tend to release in rough states and never fix issues. Yeah, that's the problem with KOTOR. I mean, if you release something which is not going to be enjoyable as the original, it's pretty much doomed. And whenever you're trying to remake something, like, that's the thing. I like remakes, but I don't like remakes that we get today. I don't see a problem in remaking a very old title, which, let's say, is too old now and it didn't really age well, but still a good title. Remakes are good for that. I'm all for it. But now you have companies remaking games they released one year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And for me, that's stupid. I mean, if you need to remake your game every 2-3 years, maybe that game doesn't really age well, and you're trying to just milk more money out of people. Any more news on Cyberpunk patch 1.6 progress? So when it comes to that, let me get into that right now. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. Let's see if this works. Alright, so when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, there was a dev branch update, as you can see here, 1 hour ago, and this is in the background. So basically you have, you know, developers releasing this update behind the key, obviously, and then you have QA testers going through that. It's just easier to share that way if you're gonna be going through Steam. So the testing branch was 5 days ago, and the dev branch 2 was an hour ago. Honestly, I think this is going to release maybe when they have like these Cyberpunk 2077 stream on this 20th anniversary. But even though they haven't been really sharing anything new, even that is a big question. Honestly, right now with CDPR, it's impossible to know, because they're not utilizing their streams to, you know, market their own stuff. So, I mean, what can you think about it, honestly? What's this one about? This is about patch 1.6, the upcoming Cyberpunk patch. And there was also a patch for The Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 this morning, because they made it available for Mac. Or, well, some operating systems from macOS. I don't know. At least with 70 games, the devs get higher pay. Oh wait, they don't. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You have your own pay as you do in any company, and how much money that company makes, you know, it is what it is. But that's pretty much in every company, you know. Right now, it's just how the system works. You know, if your company makes millions of dollars, your company made millions of dollars, and your people get paid by contract that you agreed on. I mean, do you think it would change its reputation if they remake Cyberpunk 2077 now? No. I mean, they don't need to remake Cyberpunk 2077. They just need to one day work on a next Cyberpunk game, which is a topic I'm gonna talk about, I think, tomorrow. But remaking Cyberpunk won't do it too much right now, and it's a colossal task because you have to make the game from ground up in Unreal Engine, and I don't know, it's not financially viable, honestly. So for me, it's better if they just stick with The Witcher 3, honestly. How many SteamDB build versions didn't patch 1.5 have, for example? Much less than 1.6. But the thing with that is that, you know, it doesn't really mean anything. You can have 20 updates, 10 updates, 5 updates. It just depends the scope of the update and how much time do they need to go back to it, go to through the testing, add another thing, go through the testing, add another thing, go through the testing. So it's irrelevant pretty much how much it takes. You know, it can be 20, 30 revisions, who knows. It will be very surprised, or will be surprised if do a trilogy of all Witcher games together. Yeah, no. I mean, CDPR is, you know, they're not a huge company, so taking on projects like that for them is a risky situation. You know, it might not work, it might work, and then how much time they need, and so on. It's a risky thing for CDPR. Huge risk. Dead Space remake is insulting because they fired all the original devs and started remake development a short while after that. Yeah, they shut down the studio, and then in Dead Space 3 they make them actually put co-op, and they make them do all of that stuff which wasn't even connected to Dead Space as a franchise. And then when that didn't pan out the way they did, EA was like, people don't want this game, let's just shut down the studio. And then automatically now, oh, they do want the first game, but let's remake it. And yes, it is insulting because that team could have been working on something great. But that's why you have Callisto Protocol right now from that guy. That's why Callisto Protocol looks so similar to Dead Space. It's made by the same dude. And that's why I'm kind of looking forward to that. You're gonna have a lot of developers, you know, leave big companies and start their own, or be included in different projects. It's just how it is. Nice haircut, thanks, man. Just had it. Although I don't have a haircut, I just go to a barber and I say, fix it. And he fixes it. Why not bundle all 3 games, the trilogy pack? I mean, remaking them would be a problem, but they're already bundled if you're talking about that. Looking forward to Cyberpunk Edge Runner. Yeah, that will be interesting. That's coming out in September. So the stream is going to be starting in half an hour on twitch.tv/CD Projekt RED. Is the camera still good? Yeah, it's good. I wonder how they plan to handle CP sequels. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're ever getting Cyberpunk in this formula, but in the future, like, yeah, of course they're gonna be releasing another Cyberpunk game, but in which format? Single player, multiplayer, open world RPG, something else? Impossible to know. I mean, people said to me the same for The Witcher. They were like, oh yeah, the new Witcher is not coming out. And I said, of course it's coming out. It's their biggest IP. You think they're gonna stop? It's like Rockstar stopped developing GTA, man. By the way, I'm gonna play some music in the background. You tell me if this music is too loud. If it's too loud, I will lower it, because I cannot monitor the sound. So just tell me down below in the comments if the music is too loud. What should EA do what EA did with the Mass Effect trilogy? They'd have to remake the first game, but they could just make graphical updates to the second. They wouldn't really have to do much with 3. That's just bad. I don't know. I mean, I liked the Mass Effect trilogy, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of half-baked remakes and remasters. I want something which is going to up the original, you know. And Mass Effect was great. The trilogy was great, you know, the textures were better and graphics and all of that, but I don't think, because Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 would have to go through some of the changes, mechanical changes, for them to work properly in 2022. I'm glad you trust your barber, yeah. Of course I do. Been playing Stray, great Cyberpunk world. Yeah, I need to play Stray, I just didn't get around it, I was busy with other work. That being said, the team still managed to give Dead Space 3 a great ending. Yeah, that's definitely that. Have you ever shared your gaming setup? If no, could you? I'll share it one day. I'll definitely share it one day. Let me just move this here a little bit. I feel like having first and second games be the way there is a great way of measuring CDPR's progress. I mean, yeah, CDPR's progress was getting bigger and bigger with every new Witcher game. Do I like Bethesda games? We'll be covering any Starfield news. Yeah. I mean, this channel was huge with Bethesda's games. I even had the Fallout Pip-Boy as an avatar for a very long time. But I will be covering Starfield, of course. I mean, it's an RPG after all. It's gonna be good, is it gonna be bad? Who knows when it comes out, but I know I'll play it, at least for the mods. Like, the mods are going to be sick for Starfield. Cyberpunk needs as much content as the Witcher 3 base game. It has a high completion rate, but people are just replaying quests. Needs more. Yeah, it needs more immersion in the open world segment, definitely. It needs more interactivity within the city, so it's more believable in that sense. I mean, replaying quests is great. I mean, the story is nice, everything on that front is great, but open world, oof, I mean, I talked about it multiple times already. They just need more of that in the open world segment to make the world stand out, because if you have a living world, really, it just helps with everything, with quests, with immersion and all of it. What are my thoughts on The Witcher 3? I mean, I have a bunch of videos on that already. I mean, I love the game. I mean, Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. Most practice drawing LK and fan art? What? Any news about The Witcher 4? Nah, don't expect those news anytime soon. It ain't happening. Like, no. And I don't want them to share anything about The Witcher until it's ready. Don't put something out and then be on a silence for 3 years. Just don't. Just tell me the next Witcher game is ready when it's ready, and that's about it. I cannot handle any more delays and waiting and disappointments. Just tell us when it's actually ready. No need to announce it sooner. No need. Absolutely not. I mean, what's the point in announcing it early? No point. Even if they tell you what the game is about, doesn't matter until the game is out. The stream just freak out for anyone else? If you mean about the camera, that's just this Nvidia software. It's man, it's all over the place. How soon do you think Star Wars mods for Starfield would last until Disney's DMCA's them? Did actually Disney DMCA any other like Fallout and other mods which had like Disney products in it? Because if they didn't, that's bad. But I'm sure like the first thing, you know, you're gonna have Millennium Falcon and all of that. Like that's gonna be one of the first mods you're going to have for the game. Yakuza 7 protagonist was revealed like 4 years before the game came out. I could actually see CDPR doing this. I mean, they can tell you everything about the game, but I mean, I just want the game to be good ultimately, and I don't want them to start talking about the game again like they did before. They start saying, oh, it's gonna have this, and then problems happen within development. Just, you know, people will find it. People will find those mechanics, and if you think those mechanics are going to absolutely stay in the game, because yes, you know, a game goes through changes, different features go through changes, mechanics go through changes, they get scrapped, changed, whatever. But the problem was with Cyberpunk is that a lot of those features were actually talked about, and then, ah man, we have problems with them, and then it's disappointment. So it's better, it just stay silent, work on it, it changes nothing. Wonder if there will be another CP expansion. No. Only one expansion, that's it. They won't be coming back to Red Engine. I mean, that's just how it is. If it disconnected you from the chat, that's YouTube. That's not on my end. I think Dave Zaslav will sign off on a Superman open world game. Phew, man, who knows? There was that demo in Unreal, which I already posted on the channel. That was cool, actually. Like, flying with Superman that way, that was really cool. Do you think the reveal of Cyberpunk 2077 in 2012 was a mistake? It wasn't really a mistake. I mean, it wasn't like the Cyberpunk original announcement wasn't really there to just promote the game. It was actually to attract talent, because you're gonna have companies say, we're working on the next Witcher game, and they're going to use that announcement to hire more people to work on that. Usually how that goes. So it's not really about, you know, announcing it, but at the same time, that can create confusion within the community, because then, you know, it's 2012, you're waiting until 2019 or 2020. It's wild, you know. Yeah, they use hype for pre-orders, that's 100%. Every company does that. It looks good on the books, it looks good for the investors. You also have wish lists on Steam, that's also a big thing. If your game is wish listed a lot on Steam, that can go really well with the investors, because you can say, ah, we have this demo on Steam, look how many times it was actually wish listed, people want to see it. That's also another They should keep a small team working on Cyberpunk. Nah, they won't do it. It's not financially viable, my friend. All right, let me see Twitch. Let me see. I need to just do this for a second. So CD Projekt. Let me see if they actually started streaming. Nope. Nothing yet. Nothing yet on this end. Okay. Now let me also... Sorry for doing this way, but I'm having issues to properly function here. Just give me a sec. Oh, it does work. Okay, this does work. Nice. Nice. Alright. Alright, we're gonna put it here. Now we are ready for the stream. So again, it's gonna be starting in 20 minutes. Am I Polish? No, I'm Bosnian. I am not Polish. Hey MTB, what's up? I'm doing good. I'm doing great actually. How are you? Do you think they will retire Red Engine completely in the future? They already did. I mean, with the release of the expansion, they did. That's pretty much in its retirement. Witcher 4 will have Cyberpunk Easter egg. That's how we get more content. Jason Schreier just leaked some details about GTA 6. Female protagonist location is fictional Miami. Oh no. Oh no. Where did he leak it? If it's not on Bloomberg, he didn't leak it. But man, if I had $1 for every single GTA leak, man, I'll be rich. I would be rich. Dobar dan. Do you think we will have a release date for the next gen Witcher? No. No releases No announcements, nothing on the stream. Just keep that in mind. There won't be anything. No, I'm not from Sarajevo, but I won't be sharing the city. Because, I don't know, I don't like doxing myself too much. It is on Bloomberg. Ah, all right. We'll go through it. I mean, I'll go find it after the stream and go through it. I mean, look, when it comes to Miami or Vice City, I mean, Vice City was pretty much known already as that location. I mean, what else they're gonna do? Liberty City again? Bro, I love Bosnia, man. Oh, nice. How come Jason Schreier never gets called out? Because he blocks everyone. I was blocked by Jason two years ago, but I mean, he blocked a lot of people. He blocked a lot of influential people, which are even more influential than me. Like, people have contacts in the gaming industry. So I mean, I don't care about him all that much unless he releases a news or something like that. I don't know. What my last meal? It was actually a sandwich. I had a sandwich. How do you live in Bosnia as a YouTuber? Well, I'm a YouTuber, but I also have a different job. I'm a producer. But it's similar to what I do, but YouTube is not my primary job. It's not the only thing I do. Unreal Engine 5 better than Red Engine? Every engine has its plus and minuses. Red Engine has some pluses which Unreal Engine doesn't have, and so on, but Unreal Engine 5 is a lot more stable and a lot more optimized than Red Engine and easier to work with. That's also a big thing. If your engine is easy to work with, people will work with it. If it's not, then yeah. Do you like Helicopter song? Man, that song. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't even know, like, how, man. I laughed so hard when I heard that was an actual meme. That song, an actual meme. I couldn't believe it, man. It's wild. It's wild. What were my plans? Be a CDP themed YouTuber? No, I'm not. Like, I covered CD Projekt a lot, but I'm gonna cover, and I do cover different games, so I'm not really exclusively. Like, I talk about CD Projekt and obviously games from CD Projekt because the audience is majority of people want to see that, but at the same time I just don't cover that. And I don't like to just brand myself as CDPR YouTuber or Ubisoft YouTuber or something like that, because I think there's a lot more games to cover, and just talking about one company or one title gets boring. Like Edin Dzeko, of course, man. He's our best player. How many hours do I have in The Witcher 3 and in Cyberpunk? A lot. Surprisingly, I have more hours in The Witcher 3 than in Cyberpunk. I mean, it's not really a surprise, but yeah, I do have more hours in The Witcher 3. Any news about the Gothic remake? I already uploaded a video on that. But yeah, they're still working on it. Nothing pretty much new on it from that standpoint. But the video is on that already on the channel. Oh, the stream will begin. Oh no, this is not that stream. This is a different stream. Why do they not have a countdown, man? That's always... I don't know, man. Something's weird with some of these streams CDPR is doing. What additions would I like to see in Cyberpunk? More interactivity with the world. A lot more. I like your accent, dude, thanks. Quick question, Yennefer or Panam? Shani. I always say that. Do you think they will add third person to Cyberpunk? No. No. Oh, thanks, Cristiano, thanks. Thanks for watching. Did I play Thronebreaker? Of course, Thronebreaker was great. Thronebreaker was actually done by a lot of original people from The Witcher 3, so the story is great. I mean, Gwent is... I'm not a huge fan of card games in general. I don't play them all that much, but yeah. Pavel will be in one of these streams. He might be for Cyberpunk. Okay, man, stop spamming. Dick. We don't want Twitch chat over here. Can we expect any next gen news today? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. 100% no. Which Witcher short story is my favorite? Grain of Truth, definitely. I don't like how it was done in, I don't know. It was done okay in Netflix. If you ask one more time for Quake reboot, I'm going to put you in timeout. What's the title of the Witcher song that's playing right now? It is... come on, game, tell me. Doesn't want to tell me. Wait, just give me a sec. This stupid player doesn't want to tell me the actual song. But Marcin is the composer. Let me hear it. Actually. The Hunt is Coming. Yeah, that's the name of the song. The Hunt is Coming. Did you read any Witcher books? Of course, of course. I love Witcher books. Hey dude, love your content. I'm pretty new sub, but I love to catch your vids. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Netflix Witcher was bad. Because I cannot say that word, I'll get demonetized. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of the Netflix stuff. I don't know. It's alright, but it's nothing special. And that's the sad thing about it. It's nothing special. It's alright. It's a decent show. It looks good from the cinematography standpoint, from the writing standpoint. No, but yeah. Hey, nice try, Lennon. I'm also on the internet since yesterday, man. Nice try. I've been through all of that, my friend. Are you gonna play Hogwarts Legacy? Yes, of course. Hogwarts Legacy is gonna be a game which we're gonna be covering on this channel 100%. Alright. Now, the stream is not yet live. Oh, it is. Oh, it is, but it hasn't started yet. Let me just switch to this. Give me a sec. Cavill was good for the role, except for his stupid voice. I mean, that voice is similar to Doc Ockle, but I don't know. I'm not. His voice is not really a problem. I mean, it's all right. He does decent job as Geralt. Yeah, they're live right now, but it's gonna be in what, 10 minutes or something like that. Okay. This might be a bit sensitive. Do you think Sapkowski will write some new Witcher stories as he mentioned? Or as the tragic... yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know, that was rough, but I mean, who knows? Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna be making more books or if he's gonna be writing more. Who knows, man? Because writers are... they're tricky people. They can work, then they go into problems, you know. Yeah, music, this is Marcin, the music director, is gonna be. When can we expect the next Witcher? In a couple of years. They just started another stage in pre-production, and when it's in pre-production, this means the full development has not even started yet. So it's still far away, far away. Even a screenshot will be fine. Yeah, I mean, because then people start to worry. I mean, worry too much about the next gen upgrade for The Witcher. You know, it's an upgrade, what can go wrong? But at the same time, when they're not showing something or when they're trying to be silent about it, you know, people start to wonder if everything is alright. They get PTSD from Cyberpunk and so on. That's kind of a thing here, you know. They don't want to have the same situation with Cyberpunk. But I don't think that's happening with the next gen upgrade, you know. We'll see when they start. I hope they start actually marketing that, or at least showing something as we get closer to the release date. Red Dead 2 or The Witcher 3, both. I like both games. Have I ever played any Mountain Blade? Oh yeah, I played a lot of Mountain Blade. I love that game. I love it. It's very interesting. Making an army, you know, taking castle one by one, then negotiating stuff. That was cool. Will I be covering System Shock remake? Probably yes. Oh yeah, the Witcher 2 mod, yeah. What was that? Night of the White Wolf or something like that, I forgot. Yeah, that was good. I mean, it can be problematic when you don't have any voiceover for a lot of people. It was good. It was done well. I wish that The Witcher 3 had the red kit so people can make bigger mods, but... Do you think there will be ray tracing? Yeah, they announced ray tracing for the next gen Witcher upgrade. So ray tracing, HDR support, better frame rate, better textures, the Netflix DLC, and that's pretty much it. Like, they're not going to remake the game or anything like that. Do not expect a different Witcher 3 game. It's not that. Absolutely not. Oh yeah, I reviewed Kingdom Come Deliverance before it came out. Good days, good days. That was great. I actually installed Kingdom Come a few days ago. It's still good. Am I from the Balkans? Yes. So this should be starting in 5 minutes. People are waiting to pounce on CDPR. There is not, I mean, you just share the good stuff and let people pounce. People will pounce all the time. It's the internet. I mean, you're always gonna have trolls on Twitter and all of that. Just ignore them. I mean, just push something which is proper. Give people what they want in the end, and all of that will go away. Simple as that. You don't have to even worry about it. But, you know, I don't know. I'm sure they're thinking over stuff when they're now announcing, because they're not sure how is that going to be received, or, you know. So, I mean, yeah. They're keeping their mouth shut, like, a lot. Do you still get hyped for upcoming games before? I get excited to some degree, but I also sadly know what happens to those games who get too excited. Like, look at the people who got excited for KOTOR, like me and everyone else. That's delayed indefinitely, so you might as well forget about it. Today will not be today will be about Hearts of Stone expansion. Then next week it's gonna be Blood and Wine, and then after that, I mean, they might go with Thronebreaker, or they probably will go with Thronebreaker or something like that. Can't believe your 10th year anniversary is in 2 months. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a celebration because the channel is 10 years old. I don't even, like, it's crazy. It's been already like 10 years since I started uploading videos. It's wild. It's wild. I never expected for this to go on for this long, or to actually have a community, so that's cool. Have I checked Manor Lords? Not yet, but I will. I was busy with other stuff and projects throughout the week. But now, luckily, that's coming to an end. I'll have a big like a month or something without any other work and any other projects, so I can focus a little bit more on YouTube. How do I feel about Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5? I hope it's good. That's pretty much my hopes. Just give me a good game. But I mean, Fallout 5, that's so far away. Like, Fallout 5, man. Now that's announced too early, if you ask me. Like, you don't even have Starfield, you don't even have Elder Scrolls. Why are you talking about Fallout 5? I mean, by that logic, CDPR might as well announce Cyberpunk 3. Oh, I checked furthest frontier now. Yeah, so the next gen upgrade is now in CDPR, but I mean it might have to do something with the Belarusian team. It might be connected something to Saber Interactive, because you obviously see they have problems. They cannot release stuff on time. So it can be anything, but you know, I think the problems with Saber Interactive doing this update started before all of the issues in Ukraine. I think will be added to Cyberpunk 1.6. So transmog is gonna be one of the things, because they've been teasing it, but else I don't know. I don't know what they have planned for the actual 1.6 update. I mean, they've been working on it for quite some time, so it might be something good. Are Balkan women cute? Yeah. Yeah. But Balkan women are tough, my friend. Hey, Winman, what's up? What's up? I'm good. How are you? Ubisoft. What is Ubisoft doing? Yeah, my question exactly. What is Ubisoft doing? I think game companies should sell their IP. To whom and what? Woke GTA. Why is it woke? Because it has a woman? Why is it woke? Although I don't like the changes that Rockstar have been making in their games, removing some people, changing names. I mean, it's a commentary on society, and if you're trying to have a comment on society, then don't be censored by the same society. That's my problem with GTA. That's my problem with games today. They're trying to censor everything, and they're trying to be inclusive and all of that. Meanwhile, they're doing all of that stuff which has nothing to do with inclusivity, just making more money and using trends to make more money. It's just every company does that. When they start changing their logos, and then in the middle of that, boom, they bring the logo back. Or the best thing, when they change the logos of their Twitter, but in countries like the Middle East or Russia, the logo stays the same. It's business, right? No, not because it's a woman. That's not what woke means. Listen to me, my friend. Woke stuff from America, I don't care about it, honestly. I don't care about it. We don't care about it here. So stop with that woke bullshit. Alright, let's get into this.
Today we'll be talking everything music with the maestro himself. Marcin Przybylowicz, how are you doing?
Hello, good, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to have you, actually. You know, when I joined the company was 7 years ago, I
spread the
always
message.
To talk to you. And I don't think I ever got to talk to you in like an interview format.
Oh yeah, we never did that, but it's not like we never actually spoke, right?
No, of course.
By the way, can you hear this well?
And I remember the first time I actually met you, I was an assistant 6 years ago, and we were doing a community music contest for The Witcher 3, where people were sending in their entries, and then we made a soundtrack out of it. It was an awesome experience, and I got to meet you for the first time. So that was like you know, like meeting like a star, because I played Witcher 3 before I joined the company. So, and now I get to do an interview with you, which is even better. And yeah, I'm really, really excited, really happy to be here. What we'll be doing today, we will be, of course, talking with each other. I have a lot of questions for you.
Let's
and then we'll be
goes.
showing a little bit of Hearts of Stone, so the first expansion,
nice.
of the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
This should be fun.
And we'll be
like
doing
his work.
their
I love his work.
part of the Borsodi quest. So if you haven't played it, there will be spoilers. But if you have played it, you probably know it. But you're probably here for the content, so getting to know Marcin a little bit better. If you don't know him, you probably know him. But we'll be reminiscing 20 years of CD Projekt RED. How long have you been in the studio to start off?
11 full years and 12 one clocking in.
Nice,
yeah,
nice. So 12 years almost. Damn, that's a long time.
Yeah, I've joined a few months before Witcher 2 release,
Yeah.
PC release, so that was February 2011.
Mm-hmm.
The company looked like, well, it doesn't look like this now, right? The way it
changed
looked
a lot,
before.
that's
So
true.
11 years is like, you know, a long period actually to, you know, change things and also grow and, you know, switch eras and stuff like that. But Yeah, it has been 11 years ongoing ever since. I still feel sometimes
Matt,
like
that
entering a
woke word
saloon
has been
with,
overused
you
so
know,
much.
brawl
Doesn't
just
even have
waiting
meaning
to like
anymore.
explode,
Yeah.
you know,
for
in your
everything.
face
Oh, this
in,
is
you know,
woke.
like the next second because, you know, someone
It's
offers the
useless.
wrong whiskey or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Even the
we
message is
still
useless.
have
It's
that,
not
I think,
genuine.
Wild West vibe
Yeah.
at
I
some
agree.
point somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, about the other end of the stick is like it's like, you know, it's a grown-up company, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's
Yeah, it's
A
a
lot
cool
has
tattoo
changed.
he
back
has.
then,
Yeah.
you know, like in old guys times where everything was, you know, less formal. The company was like 70 people strong, so you knew everyone by name, what kind of pets
Exactly.
she or he has,
Yeah.
or, you know, stuff like that, right?
Everything
Now
about their
it's-
family.
yeah, and now it's like you're entering like inner city within a
Yeah,
city, right?
that's true.
With its own community and living there and
Yeah.
working there.
There's a lot of people now in the studio, and we have grown like a lot.
Like crazy, yeah.
Even when I joined, like I said, 7 years ago, and I still
Well, I covered
remember there were
Saints
like
Row.
300 and something people. Like going through like the corridor, I was
Yes.
able to like know the majority of the people and got to know them.
And
And
then
then
2 years later,
2 years later, it was like, yeah, exactly. It was just more and more people. I was like, do I know this person? Have I met this person? Probably not. Okay, but we're here to talk about music. Because this is your field of specialty. This is what you do the best. What's your earliest music memory?
my earliest musical memory is Tina Turner concert
Oh,
on
wow.
VHS, brought by my father in like 1991, I
Okay.
think. So, you know, for those who don't know, early 90s in Poland weren't that, well, were harsh, right?
Yeah,
so
we didn't have access to everything.
it wasn't obvious to have like a VCR at home, for
Yeah.
example, or I don't know, TV, color TV, for
Yeah.
example, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was like, you know, it needed
Higher
extra
end.
effort to actually,
Yeah.
you know, obtain that stuff. So I remember my father bringing from his
Abwin,
musical
last
journeys
fucking warning about
a
that folk
VHS
shit.
tape of
But
Tina
we're here
Turner's
to
concert,
talk
the
about
one
this,
where she
about
performs
CDPR.
a song with David Bowie.
Oh wow.
So I do not remember which concert
I
was
don't care.
exactly. Was it Montreal or
I don't give a
not?
shit.
You know, memory fades. But like this is like the earliest I can find in my memory
Damn,
that
nice.
regards to music.
Nice. Okay, so that's your childhood memory. What about music that kind of formed your taste and style? Do you think there was something that kind
Stop
of
schooling me,
directed
man.
you in the direction
Like, I don't
that
know
you're
what it
going
is.
in, like right now? Was there like any bands that kind of formed your taste?
Well, no, it's difficult for a musician to talk about
Fucking
specific
every
like streams in
fucking
music
time.
in you know regards to what formed you, because we do not listen. Well, we do listen music for our own enjoyment, entertainment, right? But this is our tool, and we use that tool in our work, right? So it's kind of mandatory for me to, you know, like broaden my perspective as much as possible.
So you try to listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and my life story actually kind of paved the way anyway. This way because you know, my father is a jazz musician, so I was
Okay.
kind of soaking with American-centric jazz music from the very early age. I got to know classical music from schools and all this, you know, educational path I
Yeah.
went in.
Only the day in politics.
When I was teenager and were obviously playing in the band, not one, but, you know, maybe
That's
two or
awesome.
three at you know, simultaneously at some
Did you
point.
play punk rock or hard
No,
rock?
we played funk, right?
Funk?
So
Oh,
you know, I
wow.
discovered funk, soul, R&B. So basically, that's another leg, right, to put yourselves
Yeah.
on. And somewhere along during my own research, you know, of what kind of music do I like, enjoy, would like to grow
Yeah.
inside with, etc. I found film music or as you can tell now, illustrative music in general, right?
Nice.
So all of those things kind of came together towards game music. So it seems that for a person who, it's actually good to be a person who, you know, draws from different baskets, because that's what basically we are doing here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay. So why did you decide to go towards video game music?
There was no other way actually for me, and I think I just had to grow up enough in order to realize that, right? So I very early, early, around being 18 or 19, so early enough to make a change professionally with your
This
music,
is
right?
just
That
juice,
I'm
it's
not
not
gonna
energy.
be the best like performing musician out there, right? Because there are already better ones among my inner circle and broader circle, and the world in general. And I found myself feeling much better at the backseat of this whole music machinery. So that means preparing stuff for my band, for example. So when you form a band,
Oh my
you
God.
basically you're either one man orchestra, or you need to have friends to play with, right? And once you
Enough
get them,
politics.
there is this question. Okay, so what are
Done.
we gonna play, right? So
Cam
assuming it's not like a form of free jazz when basically someone says, okay, that's our theme for improvisation, and then our
just
music
go
comes
with
out of it. You need to basically have some arrangements, have something put together in your mind first, and then on sheet music. So basically, I was that kind of a guy, taking care of stuff to play.
So actually kept people organized to actually do proper work.
Again,
the hard
right?
work, right?
I wasn't realizing that then, but yeah, it was some sort of management as well, right? Creative management. So, and again, quality that is needed when you make such a big games like we do, right? Where was I? I lost track.
You were talking about how you were the person working behind the scenes and preparing everything.
So basically, the next step of evolution is that okay, I'm gonna make my own music instead of changing or adapting or adjusting someone else's music, right? So when I discovered that I'm pretty good at it, I went that road, and I think I was like 21 or 22 when I realized that I've been always playing video games, right? So like like the earliest gaming memory is with my father, who brought me to a music store because he was about to test new drums.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, the store is run by his friend, right? So they immediately like this fast, right? Forget about me. But since I'm like 5 or 6, and basically
You get to explore on your own.
I get bored, so I get noisy, right? Like a 5 or 6-year-old kid, right? So they place me like you have this like social area for clerks, right? They place me in front of the computer to just make him
you go
stop
play
whining
games
and
so
let
we
him
can
play
talk.
games so we can like check the instruments, right? And it happens to be like happened to be like old 486 machine with first Doom installed on it, right?
Nice.
And they left me there with just all alone with that fucking Doom game like for like I don't know 2-3 hours. So that was my like exposition to video games, right?
Okay.
Very vivid one. Very vivid one.
5-year-old
So
playing Doom.
when I realized I have been playing video games ever since, right? And actually 2 years later I got kicked out of college because of video games. Well, making video games at bigger degree rather than playing, but still, right? So that was always a big part of my life. I finally figured out that it's about time to actually connect those two dots and
Bring it together.
make a line and bring it together.
Yeah, so make the passion that you have and combine it with the talent that you were pretty much getting since you were a child. That's
Yep.
incredible.
Man, it's good he went into video game music.
Circling
He's
now
great.
into The Witcher 3 as a whole. Before the expansions, when you were working on the music here, what was the overall direction that you had in mind in terms of the mood, the instruments? What was the general idea that you pitched in the beginning? Like, this is how I want the music to look
Well,
like.
with the base Witcher Wild Hunt, it was all about having a sequel law basically coming into action, right? So we knew that, okay, there's gonna be a third Witcher in the franchise, so already a franchise, and we're gonna do lots of firsts. First open world, first, first that deep cinematic approach to scenes, to branching storylines. How do we improve our methods in storytelling, narration, etc., etc., right? So that change also had to be reflected in music in some way. Also, since we kind of maybe not knew consciously, but felt, right, that even though The Witcher 2 was kind of a success, especially after we launched on Xbox
Even with
360,
monetized
it
stream,
wasn't
it's
like, you know, universally
you don't make
known
money
brand,
off of
right?
But it
streaming
went,
on YouTube
went to a
through
much wider
monetization.
audience.
Yeah,
than before it
exactly.
was just
And
on
with The
PC.
Witcher 3, we knew basically we have another shot
You
at
don't.
this, waiting for us once we launch the game. So now it's time to do everything in our power to actually, you know, be to prepare ourselves the best way possible, right? So that also meant the music had to develop in some way compared to the first and second Witcher. So I've decided, since again regarding design of The Witcher 3, we are coming back from this major geopolitical intrigues we had in Assassins of Kings, right?
Exactly.
Towards more intimate story. Obviously, Wild Hunt is somewhere, but basically, Witcher 3, if you do not know, is about the old, tired guy looking for his daughter, right? And all the Witchering basically is like, it's like clothes, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
decorations,
there.
it's
Yeah.
there, but it's not the essence of what
Of the whole
we've been
thing.
telling about, right? So with that in mind, it was kind of clear for us to also like bring the pace or the sound of the music to a little bit narrower location, and work around with more ethnic, folkish performances. Make the solo performances the crown jewel of this whole construction, and other things basically supporting that one particular thing, right?
So you're pulling from different directions and a little bit
Yep.
of everything to kind of create something that is unique. And I feel like it is something that people like highlight. Did you ever think that, like songs like Care More and Geralt of Rivia or Steel for Humans, aka Banana Tiger, like, did you ever feel like these, when you were like, creating them, did you ever feel like the songs will become, like staples? Because they've become staples. Like, players know them. Everybody who played The Witcher, they know all of these. I even listen to the soundtrack still when I'm driving somewhere through Poland. Like, I was just on holidays, we were listening to all these tracks. Like, did you ever think it's gonna go like outside the game and become like live its own life, pretty much?
You never think about it when you are making this thing. So whenever it's me or PT Adamczyk or our other composers here at CDPR, we have, I think we have, we operate mentally on a different level, basically. So we are not concerned whether or not, it's a single potential, for example, right? So even though it may turn out to be, it's nice, but what is concerning us is, does it slap or not, basically, right? And there are moments in the span of your work when you are in front of the computer, you are editing those, tracks you've recorded in the studio. It starts to, be well put together, and you like tell to yourself like, this is fucking awesome. So this is gonna be fucking awesome. People are gonna love it, but it makes you basically enjoy your work more and trigger more like I don't know, inspiration maybe. To put into your work rather than calculating and doing House of Cards kind of approach towards like, okay, this is gonna be
the number one single.
Okay. Open that, right? No, it's YOLO basically, right? It's not
okay, good. I love that approach. How hard is it actually when you're composing something and you're, like you said, there's a little bit of folk, there are different instruments, there's different sounds that you're taking inspiration from, and you're trying to put it into one piece which is coherent, like cohesive, makes sense, and then transitioning it also into a game that also has its own kind of pace. Like, how do you do all these things at once?
Well, it's obviously all subject to training or honing specific skills you might need in this process, but it also relies heavily on feelings, on gut feeling, really, right? So whatever you have inside, this is something you work with in order to crack down formula. For example, now we have Borsody Quest, right? The auction scene, and when you try to figure out, okay, which scene needs what kind of music. Does the scene need music at all? Because, you know, playing music wall to wall all together without any pauses, you know, time to actually let your ears rest is also not a good idea, right? Because that this way we do not, you know, narratively support everything that is going on screen, and rather than like, you know, punching you in the face and screaming, look, I make music, listen to my fucking music, right? So it's not, you know, it needs to be elegant, right?
Yeah, it needs to be part of the whole package, right? But it cannot be standing out like in your face, like check out my music.
There are, because still there are moments for in-your-face music, right? Exactly. When you have like those big combat set pieces, like Defense of Karamoran from base game, for example. Like shit hits the fan situation in that quest, right? So this is basically, you know,
that's when the music ups
these are these
itself,
moments,
and like whenever someone is chasing, whenever there's something dramatic. But there's also moments where music kind of slows down and kind of builds, like, for example, in the base game, when you find Siri and when you see her for the first time, everything I feel like slows down and is more like melancholic, and you're kind of like tearing up and all the emotions are coming in. So that kind of is when you kind of pull it back a little bit. But after, I feel like the pacing is also important, because there are moments where you have to, like, you know, pump the gas and kind of add a little bit more stuff to it.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's incredible to have, like, do you go through iterations where like you compose something, you add it, and then you are going back and fine-tuning and kind of adjusting everything depending on the pacing of a quest, or how does the implementation process work?
Well, normally it's either us being so genius at our work, or maybe there's another reason of us being so stupid at our work, for example, that we do not have enough ability to, you know, organize ourselves. But what I'm trying to say is we do not iterate much. So basically, once the music lands in game, it stays like this until the game releases. So it doesn't mean, obviously, we do not polish it here and there, especially in implementation. So I remember tracks from Cyberpunk development, for example, where, you know, we've placed music for specific quests rather early, but we've been like, you know, sandpapering it in terms of when exactly it triggers, you know, depending on which dialogue option you choose, how does it change from one track to another in order to, you know, keep the pace with the scene, or maybe, you know, work as a juxtaposition for the pace of the scene. So that took us a long time, but generally once we create an asset, it stays there and you know, lives its life. However, there are exceptions, and that's why I've chose Borsodi's quest for today, because that was one of those moments I remember from developing games here, where we actually put so much focus in how we're gonna deliver specific storyline, specific quest, where iteration process is kind of written down into, you know, your plan, because you know you're gonna go back and forth, and you know, counting on this force feedback between me, and if I'm not obviously that was Sasko, so no one else, right? With Sasko, because if I'm not mistaken, Sasko was doing this quest particularly, right?
Okay.
It's always Sasko, isn't it?
That's really cool. Anything else that stands out from this quest apart from that? So, because you specifically went for this one.
I went for this one because I remember that when we did the base game, you know, my personal take is that we did it so well because we didn't know how to do it, basically. So I realized, you know, years after release, about, you know, I made myself aware about some specific things that could help me so much more if I knew them, like, you know, 8 years earlier, for example, right? But what we didn't also know is how it's gonna touch people, basically, and how successful it's gonna be. So when we started to work on Hearts of Stone, we already knew we are doing well, right? Witcher is selling like crazy. People are loving our work artistically as well, creatively as well. So that gives you a lot of confidentiality.
So
right?
you're confident in what you're going to do
confidence,
now.
yeah,
So
confidence,
yeah.
exactly, right? So it makes you let go
Yeah.
specific things, or you might keep yourself into because you may, for example, I don't know, be afraid to risk more, or I don't know, change the things or try it other ones, right? But with Hearts of Stone, we already knew we got the formula, if I put it, in those bad words, working basically. So it's proven to be working technically, artistically, narratively. So now we started to feel comfortable about it
So you
and
can
trying
play around a
out
little bit.
exactly playing around. So when I got the memo that we are gonna rob a bank basically, right, in Hearts of Stone, I love heist movies, so that was for me like
so already
little,
like Ocean's 11 and stuff like that.
that was for me a little bucket list moment, because I always wanted to do at least a heist scene.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And now I'm presented with the whole quest that takes what, an hour and a half. It's long. It's a pretty long quest.
It's a pretty hefty
right?
quest. Yeah.
Pretty hefty quest, and obviously you have to put together a crew. So
tick.
You have to execute the heist, but shit hits the fan.
Tick. Boom.
Right? Now you have to find yourselves out of this mess.
Yeah.
Tick. So everything
everything
wanted
lined
to
up perfectly
make,
the way you wanted it to.
Yes. So how to propose a music for that, right? I remember the putting together crew moment. Especially those counter shots where either you hire an elf or a dwarf, right, the explosive guy, or an acrobat. You see those glimpses of their skills being awesome, being awesome, basically, right? So, very cinematic moment. You feel like you're watching the movie.
And the music needs to reflect
and
that.
This is our chance to, basically tickle that string and see how we can reflect that in the Witcher universe, right? And I remember myself doing back and forth with Quest team because I specifically asked them if it's possible to make this the dialogue scene when we talk with the shady guy and ask about things a little bit longer, because look, I made this track and I made this track and I want both of them to be there, right?
Okay, so you wanted both.
So I made too much stuff basically for the lifespan of the scene on a timeline. So what can we do? What can we do? And we
just
actually
extend
made
the timeline easy, right?
And they went like, okay, we make the scene longer, basically.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and also I feel like the music in Hearts of Stone is a little bit different than what we have. I mean, for me, still Blood and Wine, aesthetically, for me when I listen to it, it's one of my favorite soundtracks, but it's different. Having the accordion there is like a game changer for me. But here also the mood is different. We have Gone to Redeem, who is the devil, and the whole, I feel like music also is
he's
more
the devil.
dark, gritty.
I was right.
Well, I mean,
Don't
Witcher
call
3
me
also
mad.
is dark and gritty, but I think this one's a little bit
He's not the
more
devil.
to the darkness side.
Well, The Witcher was full of colors because the stories we told were different, right?
Yeah.
There were stories about love and hate and murder and other stuff as well. So, and while The Hearts of Stone, on the other hand, was
That doesn't work.
like a TV special
Yeah.
of a well-established series,
Yeah.
right?
That works.
I think that's the vibe that also people got, because for some it's their favorite expansion, and they say they love it because the story is it's very linear in a sense, but it is very narratively strong, and this is what they kind of come
and
for.
it's also short, but that makes it really, really dense, right?
Yeah.
So there is no time left for fucking around. Once you start to play it, you play it, right? And there's this Gone to Redeem guy, right?
Yeah.
So when I was approached with this character and basically, okay, that's gonna be our antagonist in this story, so yeah, what are we gonna do with him and about him? And I do not remember who, but someone proposed an idea of having basically a children's song. So we wanted to, because in the base game, Gontra had 15 seconds of screen time, right? So it's not enough time to establish
anything
a character, right? His motivations, where does he come from, what does he want? Nothing, right? So he was generic peasant number 8, right?
In the tavern.
That was it, right? So the idea of grounding him more, or at any point, at this point, within the world, was to have a children's song
That
the
makes it
kids
even
would
more
sing.
creepy.
The kids would sing like when they like play those outdoor activities, right?
That's smart.
I like this idea very much, so much that I've asked them, okay, so why stop there? Let's make the theme of the whole expansion out of this tiny melody we're gonna make, and like base the whole score, whole soundtrack on that particular melody, especially since you wanna create that, under your skin feeling that there's nothing right about this guy. You do not know his capabilities, but you know yourself to keep a distance from him.
And he's
right?
always
Sound
there
is now
somewhere,
perfect.
Exactly.
in
That
the
was
background,
that was
kind of
mind blowing for
pulling
me
the
when
strings.
I
Turn off
discovered
volume,
that.
what can I tell you?
People from our narrative teams are actually placing him in like second, third row of characters, in locations, in dialogue set pieces, in cutscene set pieces. Throughout the whole game, right?
I have to lower this.
The wedding quest,
high.
for example, right?
He's
No,
also
no
there. He's
logical place
everywhere.
for him to be there, but he was there still, right? So I like that idea so much that I think like 80% of whole music I did for Heart of Stone, I've placed his melody somewhere. So it's over present, right?
Yeah.
And actually, the Borsodi's quest, I think, is one of the two exceptions
Where it's actually
purposefully
different.
didn't use like his theme and let like or foreshadow his presence.
You were all
in
about
any
the
way,
heist
because
feel,
like
so.
yeah, this is the feeling we want you to focus on, right?
Yeah.
The second example, if I'm not mistaken, was the wedding. So
Yeah, sound
The
is
wedding
fine.
also has very
during the wedding
I can see
activities,
it
like brawling and I don't know, chasing pigs or sheep. I don't remember.
I think it was maybe pigs. I don't remember, but yeah, there
Whatever.
was one
those
of those. Yeah.
farm critters, right? So unless you're doing something else, you're not gonna hear this dark brooding melody, right?
Yeah. Nice, and yeah, like you said, I feel like it is something that you can hear when you're playing through the game. Like the soundtrack is kind of
It doesn't leave you.
entwined a little bit into it, but it's very hard to pick out. Any moments from the 20 years of the studio, but probably more for the 12 years that you've been part of the studio, is there anything that stands out for you like the most?
I was thinking about this question, and I honestly cannot pick one because for me 12 years is a long time.
Any like milestones or anything that kind of comes
so
to mind?
I would think about milestones or those moments you remember. They may be the tiny moments, but they make you somehow change or make you store that memory. So for me, the launch of The Witcher 3 was one of those moments. So that was the biggest game I made so far that day. That was the most important game, the most expensive one. So back then I didn't realize how much pressure was put on my shoulders in terms of cash I was spending, for example, because again it all costs money, right? And
A lot of
we are
money.
doing games, we are allowed to fool around during the process, right? But in the
But
end,
to a certain extent, like you
it's
also
a
need
business,
to deliver, right?
Exactly. We need to deliver, and it needs to be good because people are gonna buy it. People need to enjoy it, so they can, buy it again, right? When we do something new, right?
Yeah.
So that's how the world works, basically. So that was the important moment. I remember the launch party. That was like off the breaks party at 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because everyone was elevated by this wave of success and universal love that touched us, right?
Plus, you did it. Like you got to the end. It's out there.
Yeah, and
people
we did
are
it
loving
after 3 fucking years of work. So like we fucking earned it, right? We fucking earned it to get drunk and hug each other, right?
Yeah.
So and party till 5 a.m. So
Yeah.
Open
like,
Sesame was great quest.
that was the moment.
Great
was
quest
the
line.
moment.
And I remember we had a circus roundabout on the place just outside
Oh,
Fort the
perfect.
Forts, right? So
Yeah.
like you had everything.
Perfect. Nice. Yeah, for sure that has to be one of the moments that is key there. Okay, I also want to say that if anyone who's watching has any questions, feel free to drop them in chat.
Ooh, question time.
Those questions and then passing them on.
Question
to
time.
Martin.
We'll talk about all of this when it's done. Don't worry.
And we are currently in a part where we're going through how we're supposed to actually get to the vault, how to open the vault, and how to execute this heist.
This is a long quest,
That's
though.
actually
Will they be
the
able to
second
finish this?
piece playing right now. The second out of those two.
Out of those two.
animes, yeah, the more intense one.
Yeah, I feel like the preparation here has a very like a very music vibe, like very movie-like vibe to it. Plus, it kind of reminds me of any games in which you have this heist thing when you're actually planning stuff out. There are maps, and then you're getting the crew.
Right?
Those
Like,
is awesome.
this is like one of those moments I've always wanted to experience.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, right? When you imagine yourself being fireman or pilot or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I wanted to rob a bank. So
it's on the list. Okay. What is the
I
process
can't write the question
of
now, man.
creating
Five
music
windows open.
tracks, playing in background during quests? Do composers
write them
communicate
down.
with quest designers? Are composers creating tracks themselves? So this is we kind of touched upon this a little bit, but this is a fresh question coming in from
So
chat.
basically, it's all about solving mathematical equation, metaphorically, because once the game is ready enough to be reviewed from our perspective, so that means it's mostly playable. It doesn't need to look nice. It doesn't need to play nice. But the core ideas out there. You always know what is happening or what is about to happen once this or that team finishes their work.
Yeah.
And you can basically play it from the beginning till the end, right? So we can have voiceovers from voice generator. The characters may T-posing. There may be missing animations, assets, post processes. All that stuff. But the
Or you
game
can
is
ask for
basically
me.
there, right? Bare
Okay.
bone. And this is for us moments to spot the game. Spotting is a process in film industry and game industry where you basically analyze the material you are gonna work on and decide those things we already talked about, right? So where do we need to put music? What kind of music it should be? What kind of emotions it should take? And what should it do narratively? When should it start exactly? When should it end exactly? And what should happen next?
Makes sense.
So basically, we create like this monster spreadsheet when we quest by quest, location by location, side quest by side quest, describe the whole game, and basically that creates us with plan for next 2-3 years, whatever depending on how big the game is, where we split those tasks among us composers and basically continue with doing that for 3 years, right?
Perfect. Another question coming in by Kaiho. Are there any particular instruments you wanted to avoid, or on the other hand, weren't to specifically, you didn't want to specifically include, and why?
Good question.
Well, with The Witcher 3, because I'm assuming that this is the background of the question, it wasn't only about going bigger and being smart about it, but also about finding our own voice or recipe for how our music will sound. So I am a big fan of
Percival?
of a saying that everything has been already
Percival was
done
great.
in music in terms of new things, and we live in the era of remixes basically. So when I'm with the task of making a dark fantasy RPG game, right, I need to tick specific boxes that will make whatever we do approachable and appreciable for the broad audience, right? Because
So kind of fit into the genre in this case?
fit in not only into genre, but how this genre is perceived
Okay.
and how people are perceiving this thing. So
Okay.
I'm sure you remember the thing we had with, sorry for doing a sidetrack, with Cyberpunk and lack of synthwave in it, for example, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people were expecting a specific
Still
thing.
get comments about that,
And we
don't
took
you?
like not that, right? So the same thing went with The Witcher. So we knew we have to meet specific guidelines in terms of how it will work, what are the genre limitations or demands, for example. But how much room there is left for finding our own way of doing that. So there are some very common tropes in music, like in everything else. So, for example, when we joke about video games, we joke about mandatory desert level with choppers in it, right? So, if you have this mandatory desert level with choppers in it, it's mandatory you're gonna have duduk in the score.
Yeah, to give you that vibe, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's so deeply paved, in people's imagination that you
it
get
needs
like
to be there.
instant,
Exactly.
recollection and
It's association,
desert
right?
level choppers, pyramids, right? Snakes, whatever, right? So since we are playing with the games of impressions, right? We need to trigger specific impressions in our audience. We need to take that into account. So I didn't use duduk, even though there may or may not have been a place where I wanted to use it. I didn't use eru, which is a Chinese string instrument. Very beautiful, can play very. Oh, we did use it in Cyberpunk, for example, because geographically, design-wise,
it makes a lot of sense.
It was much easier to swallow in the overall mix for the music rather than in The Witcher, right? So there are always cases like that, and we do not use them because it's all about the bigger picture and finding all the puzzles that will fit together very well.
Yeah, nice. There's also one message by Enrico Gorilla Power. Nice name. He just wanted to thank you and called you a genius, which I agree with, for the last 2 years and everything you've done, especially the Kermoran theme. He wrote that I always imagine riding a horse with my grandpa when I hear that song. Also, did you create Fields of Art Skellig? If so, you are a genius, once again.
Fields of Art Skellig is also mine. However, to be perfectly frank,
right?
I need to also add that Fields of Art Skellig is based on a very old Scottish folk song. So
it wasn't Stravinsky in that one.
That was
Stravinsky is great
our
as well.
way of finding some not that obvious connections to the actual world, actual history, and what has been played, performed, and listened to back in the days. And Kermoran obviously, sits heavily on The Witcher.
Is awesome. I agree.
The overall The Witcher saga theme. So that has been with us, for like 15 years already, right?
Yeah. I remember also. I think we used that in one of the trailers. I remember watching that. It was so good. And I was listening to it in my car like just a week ago. So it's a very, very fresh memory. So I totally agree. How do you think has music changed throughout the Witcher games? And did you ever think, or when you were doing things for Witcher 3, did you pull any inspiration from Witcher 1, for example?
Well, we did take Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 into consideration, of course, when working on Witcher 3, because in terms of, again, narrative devices, storylines told, characters used, you still need to remember you are continuing the story that has been told before as well, and some themes or musical solutions or other things need to be like carried away.
Man, I almost hit this guy in the head
to
when
another
I was
project,
playing
right?
this.
Yeah.
But once the base game was completed and those storylines were completed, and we introduced new characters with Hearts of Stone, then Blood and Wine, then Gwent and Thronebreaker campaign, for example, right? So it meant for us that we are basically expanding this Witcher bubble, right? Outside Kermoran, outside Vizima, outside Novigrad and No Man's Land, and basically make it the also musical world bigger. So that
because
was
the music differs in different places, and you can actually hear it yourself.
Yeah, and on top of that,
that's also different, right?
That's true, but it's still kind of it was kind of the part of of like the base recipe, right? We had with the base Wild Hunt. And on top of that, we also became, you know, more again comfortable with what we have been doing, because after working for 3.5 years on The Witcher 3, me and my team were basically, you know, met with the challenge of doing exactly the same thing once again, but different enough so it's, you know, stays on its own legs, right? Talking about expansions, Gwent, Thronebreaker, and all the stuff we did around the Wild Hunt in order to expand the brand, right? So again, business meets art, creative, and what people would like to hear. So you have to find the right balance in it. And for us, finding this balance was actually making ourselves comfortable with it. So I remember
next gen Q4
making the main menu track for Thronebreaker campaign, right?
Was good.
And I remember, and there are things I would never use and never make in the base game, base Wild Hunt.
But like, you could there.
Like synthesizers, like those fucking big war horns, like those Jericho horns. You blow them and, you know, the walls fall, right? Like totally over the top vocals. Like we did harsh vocals that were considered in the genre of fantasy games, right? Like something no one else did before, right? So including spoken vocals in combat sequence where, you know, people need to, but it's against every single handbook, every single rule you are taught in the scoring business, because, you know, it's always, it all serves the spoken words, right? Because this is the form of communication between humans. So whenever a spoken word is told, you do not score the dialogues in, for example, with songs, right? And during our combat sequences, people talk, right? Either to themselves or exchange lines, right?
Makes sense,
So having like da 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 and all those lines in Bulgarian, Croatian, I don't remember right now which language, but basically sung, should drive people's attention off. But instead, it worked very well. And with Thronebreaker, we, you know, went even further with even harshest vocals, even more powerful ones. And I remember doing, you know, we have this Polish expression, wrotki odpięte, right? Like no breaks whatsoever. Like you just go there and, you know, you do not think of you know, anything, right? No consequences.
Full YOLO.
Full YOLO, right? And I did that track. It was like, I don't know, hard rock meets industrial meets folk. I do not know even how to describe it. Just because we could, right? Because the essence of the world was so well established, and we were telling also very well established side stories, right? That musically also it could stand on its own feet, survive without any connection to the base, because of, you know, the idea it's been built around, right?
Cool.
That makes a lot of sense. Now circling back to you playing video games, because you already mentioned that you're a gamer. You started very early with Doom, which we already established.
Hear that, man? Doom.
When you're playing video games, do you stop to appreciate the soundtrack? Is this something that has kind of become, like, you know, like you cannot not hear it? Like it is something that you put like a lot of focus on because you work on it. And are there any things in terms of like taking notes or thinking about maybe I could do something similar? Like you said already, it is already an established genre by itself. So there are things that you're pulling from, or things that you have to kind of check boxes, like you said. But do you get inspiration from other titles when you're playing yourself?
Yes, and I do not limit myself to games, but you know, I like to call it visual media in general, because for me it doesn't really matter whether I'm playing video game. That's my phone. It doesn't matter whether I'm playing video game, watch a movie, or I don't know, go for a theater play, for example, right? So it can all inspire you. But going back to the question, because of the professional nature of me dealing with music, I had to like build separate mechanism for me in order to perceive the music as not someone like, you know, with this burden of knowledge, right? So whenever I go to see a movie or play a game, my first run is like the fun run. So I'm a consumer of
Yeah,
pop
you just do it
culture.
for
I'm
fun
a
to get
consumer
the whole
of
thing.
entertainment.
Yeah.
I want to like, soak myself with it,
Yeah.
right? And this is also a test run for me. So because I'm exposed to something and I immediately know whether or not I like it, I feel attached to it, I feel engaged, right? And I want to spend more time with it. So then time comes for my second run, and second run is for my work me. So basically, I'm listening, for example, what was the method of changing in game from one track to another and keep the synchronization, for example, right? Or do I like their ideas of having specific instruments set in that particular setting we are dealing with, right? Or do I like the way that they are played?
Yeah.
Or do I like energy they are, like trying to create, right?
Yeah.
So this is me trying to
decouple
deconstruct
the
it,
thing,
to the nits and bolts, and basically like see, so
I see
okay,
what you did there.
You did this with this. Okay, this is how
Camera
you do
again?
it. This is how you do it. Is anything useful
I'll
here on
fix
this
it,
table?
I'll fix
That's
it.
like the next stage of it, right?
Okay.
So once you get
So once
to know
you decouple everything
once
and you
you-
have the nuts and
how
bolts,
it works,
you
yeah,
start.
you make a conscious decision whether or not you want to like, I didn't have this mug, right? I have
Yeah.
collection of mugs, but this is the new one. I'm gonna take it.
I'm
right?
gonna take it, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
this is the moment you make a decision like this.
Nice, nice, really cool. I also want to go back to, I know we're playing Hearts of Stone, but I want to talk about Blood and Wine because for me it's my favorite score. It's one of my favorite ones that I listen to. I feel like the whole soundtrack itself could be put out to the world without any game attached to it. I also have that with the base game, and people would still love it. What was the idea of actually having an accordion there? Like,
Okay,
because
so
you told me this story once, but I don't think everybody has heard that story. So I wanted to put you on the spot here.
well, so the boring part of story is the official one, right? So basically, the story goes like this: we are making second expansion. It's gonna be set in Tucson, which is based on southern France, sunny Italy, exactly,
it's a
right?
mixture of those,
Lots of grapes, vineyards, people basically living their dream life because war never was there, right?
Yeah.
This
Full on
country
vacation
does
mode.
not know war in any form,
Yeah.
right? So that's why they have, time for chivalry bullshit, right? While the other end of the world is like focused solely
Suffering.
on survival, right? And
Yeah.
so this is like
Yeah.
the big change of perspectives,
Yeah.
right? So that had to be obviously you're gonna have this darkness into Sand as well
Yeah.
because vampires, intrigues, Sienna, and
Yeah.
character and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But that's the outline, right? And again, we need to answer the question how to geographically make it so it makes sense within the Witcher universe, within the continent. My idea was actually to have an accordion because the variation of accordion, bandoneon, which is, I think, Argentinian, well, South America anyways, right? Is very prominent in tango music. And tango is a Latin form of music. And from Latin-centric music to, South European-centric music in terms of folk stuff, in terms of how the rhythms are built together, how, the pace of the music looks like, etc. It's not a very long path to go.
Yeah.
So I propose the accordion that it will make most sense, and also, accordion sits well with France. So if we want to base the game on France, right? So, like, it makes sense.
It starts tying
Yeah, it makes
together.
sense.
I remember
True that.
having a meeting with Konrad Tomaszkiewicz back in the day, so the game director of the whole Blood
And
and Wine,
pitching the
right?
idea.
And pitching the idea, basically.
This
So,
is the
okay,
story.
Konrad, because, he goes like, yeah, Blood and Wine, so make stuff, right? Like, present me idea, what are we gonna do? And 2 weeks later, I sit in front of him and say like, okay, I got it, right? We're gonna use accordion, right? And I wasn't even able to like finish my pitch.
No.
Like, I lost him at accordion.
Because they have a bad reputation. they have a bad reputation that it's just something that, you know, people are playing to like get money out of you. Like
yeah, I don't know how things look outside of Poland, but in our part of the world, basically accordion is like perceived, commonly perceived with like two things. A lot TV series, right? So sitcom about World War, very hilarious and very goofy, right?
Yes.
So, okay, that doesn't like work with The Witcher, right? Witcher is all about seriousness and epicness and, you know, like heartfelt stories and stuff. Not that.
Nope.
Second thing, Hong Kong baguette Paris, right? So stereotypical take on France, Paris, stupid tourists there, and basically every time you wanna do it like cheaply, you make you know you take old Citroen and accordion and you have France, right? And baguette in the middle of it, right? And the third impression is what you said, right? In Poland, people with accordion usually beg you for money in trams, on the squares.
And the music they play on it,
they do not know how to play that music. It's like, you know, someone grabs the accordion like me right now, does just like bullshit on it and, you know, plays the cup like money here, right? Yeah. So this is how people perceive accordion. So I lost him at accordion because, you know, I can easily imagine in his head what like nope, you're retarded, and you know,
all the bad
go take some day off because you clearly need them,
lost
right?
your mind.
He doesn't make decisions on when the game is releasing. He makes music and he talks about music.
I'm gonna do it. I made like fucking folk music cool, right? So music no one listens to, right?
It's not his
like,
fault.
In general, massively, so give me a chance, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna make it right. And I found a guy, Rafał Grzonka, accordion virtuoso, who plays in bandoneon and several types of accordion, including some nerd facts about accordions. Accordions have registers, so the bigger register, like in organs, for example, so the bigger amount of registers means bigger sound. And we found a guy who owns 120-basowy, 120 bass registered accordion, which is basically the biggest one. So when you like start to play on it and squeeze it, it makes a big, not necessarily lower, but bigger sound, denser, right? We mic'd it very well. I told Rafał exactly the same thing I've been telling Percival during our earlier recording sessions. So basically, I do not care about the instrument you play. I care about the music you play. So play me some hard rock, play me riffs, play me like not like you know, music people would normally expect out of that instrument. No, I want you to play like, you know, the rock and roll, like feel like
something
a rockstar,
that
right?
It doesn't like fit you, like make it different.
Yeah, and like he blew my, you know, mind away with the things he did, right?
Yeah,
That's
amazing, and I feel like it tells when listening to it. It is.
He knows his stuff.
It's freaking amazing, and it actually made me enjoy listening to the accordion because I had all those like bad associations with it in my head, and I was like, this cannot work. But when I listen to the soundtrack and I hear it there, it's just like it makes so much sense. I kind of feels like I feel like it totally fits the theme there too.
It fits the theme, but you know, it's also for me very personal because
what's going on?
Accordion sits right besides viola in the hermetic musical jokes musicians told about themselves. So even in my own inner musical circle, accordion is perceived as a lame instrument, right? So
I thought it was like things like the harmonica or something.
No, accordion, like specifically accordion, like this is like equals lame, right? So lameness. So that was also kind of personal, you know, to find a way to like make a point, right?
Yeah, incredible. I'm gonna check quickly if we have anything in chat. I think we're already after the fight, so we're already there. I don't see. Okay.
They have to be online until the quest finishes.
This is something that I wanted to ask you also. What was the best live experience / largest orchestra you have heard your music having been played on so far? Did you get goosebumps? like seeing your music performed live by a big ass like orchestra.
Like big as orchestra, the biggest one out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's easily FMF 2016.
That's Festival Muzyki Filmowej.
Yeah, Film Music Festival in
Film
Krakow.
Music Festival, yeah.
Symbolic date because we had that concert a night before Blood and Wine launched.
Yes.
So
I
like that
remember,
was
I was with
also
the company.
symbolic and special for us as well, for the company. But
Yeah.
that was easily the biggest one because the venue could hold up to 12,000 people, and we sold the place completely. So, you know, I've never seen crowds such big
So
like
cool.
this one, sitting for like 90 minutes straight without, you know, an intermission in between, just to listen to the Witcher music, to our music, right? So, the venue was gigantic. The people on stage, I think we had over 150 people on stage altogether. So full symphonic orchestra, choir, mixed choir, and obviously our soloists, right? So Percival Band, Robert Jaworski, Amir Agmaj, another as well. So that was the biggest one. I do not remember the Goosebumps though, because that was also my first one. So I was so fucking nervous,
Scared
during the whole like rehearsals, you know, days before the gig. Dress rehearsal on the gig day and the gig itself, right?
Yeah.
So
Man,
I
these
was
guys are
so
spongy.
stressed, so like white on my face, almost like transparent, that people, you know, around me actually felt that I need medical attention and they should call for an ambulance, because I was so, you know,
Hey Foxy, what's up?
I was afraid, you know,
yeah.
we may blow it, and again, talking about no pressure, right?
Yeah.
So the company
There's
does
a lot
it.
of pressure there.
The company does it for the first time, so
Yeah.
you know, I have to understand their way of thinking as well, right? So it's not only about, you know, going outside of our medium, what we as CDPR always wanted to do, right? So, you know, reach the biggest amount of people, because what we
Exactly.
do is,
Go a little
after
bit
all,
more
an
mainstream
art form,
instead
right?
of games
Exactly,
only.
not only limit ourselves to games. So, you know, doing concerts was like the perfect example of it. But again, these people have a business to run, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to make sense to at least some point for them. And, you know, for me, it means that when we blow it, organizing next thing like this may be a bit harder for me,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
not super
Yeah.
hard, right?
Yeah.
So I was so scared that, oh, I remember we were supposed to have pyrotechnics. So
Add pyrotechnics to the
yeah,
whole
so
thing,
basically,
so
so
elevate it a
yeah,
little bit
and
more.
I think I never told that publicly. So actually, the story goes that you know, both CDPR and organizers of the festival are behind of this concert in terms of logistics, organization, all that stuff. People are rehearsing, and we are in the Tauron Arena on the gig day, dress rehearsal. And obviously we have, you know, all this big screen with the game footage synchronized to the music, played live. We have obviously light design as well, so in specific moments, you know, you can have a red stage or
Yeah.
a blue stage, you know,
Depending
yellow
on the
stage,
mood,
and
yeah.
you know, spotlights do stuff like
Yeah.
this, you know, whoa, right?
Yeah.
Hollywood. And one of those things were supposed to be also how do you call that thing that spits fire? Like-
Flamethrower.
Oh yeah, flamethrowers, exactly. Yeah, stupid.
I mean, sometimes you lose words. It's normal.
So basically, they had those the dishette and those outer parts where
Yeah,
the
yeah.
actual flame
The
comes
valves
out.
from
The
where
valves
it comes from.
I'm
Yeah.
missing words
Yeah.
today. On the stage and during the Wild Hunt
Yeah.
theme, for example, or some
Fire.
of the combat sequence, the fire was supposed to be like engaged on the accents of music, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, the fire.
and you know, all goes to shit, right?
Yeah.
And they actually wouldn't let us do it
Aw.
because the
No fire allowed.
no, the fire team
firemen came and they were like,
made
"Nope."
evaluation,
Yeah.
and they said like, how
No.
many people's gonna be there? Okay, so how tall this fire is gonna be? Like this tall. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna fly.
no. You
And-
can only
and-
get like this tiny
no,
little fire.
Why not? Why not? Why it's not gonna fly? Well, because you're about to drop a like million tons of confetti from the ceiling, right? Because we had like falling confetti on, you know, in the middle of the concert. So.
Yeah.
Confetti,
They
fire,
explained us that we need to assume that those tiny pieces of paper are gonna be floating around, and once you know open fire to them, it may end up in casualties, right? So we didn't have fire, but you know, other than that, it was
health
awesome.
and safety always important.
Yeah,
always
confetti
important.
and fire. I don't think that works well
One more
with
question
12,000
here.
people.
I saw that you used the Wise middleware to implement audio in the game. Did this have an influence on the workflow and the composing?
It obviously has a lot of influence. I like to say that, well, it's not like it's my own philosophy, it's how it is, right? So the tools you use are kind of broadening or limiting or are specifying the kind of art you're gonna make. So we treat Wise as a tool itself as well, and Wise as an environment allows us to do different creative things with implementation. But in order to implement it, you need to have something created first. And when you create it, it's good to have the implementation method, you know, at the back of your head. So again, the puzzle theory, it like fits itself, right? So you do not need to figure out, okay, what to do with this block of music and how do I tackle it, or you know, do something with it so it works within the system in Wise. Instead, we like to even preliminary plan out first, figure out what are we gonna do with music, then make the music in a specific way. So the method does influence how do you create music, only to, you know, have it much easier to actually, when we, you know, connect all those cables together in Wise.
Perfect. Big question here by Hulking Tai. Who are your all-time favorite composers?
How much pages I should write? So because you know, we're talking about classical ones, film ones, game ones, you know, from jazz or pop or which decade?
Oh man, I think we need to follow up on this one, because I feel like the question is like super broad, right?
Well, it is super broad, you know, because I was listening for years to Miles Davis, because I used to play trumpet for 15 years or
Give me a sec.
So it was, you know, natural for me to listen to trumpet-based music, for example. When I was learning at school, I had to listen to classical music.
My neighbor
because,
is doing
you know,
stuff again
education,
outside.
So, you know, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Stravinsky. I like Stravinsky's work. Works very well. Very much. You know, when I was in the band phase, I was listening to Parliament and Prince and Marcus Miller and you know, all you know, funk or R&B based musicians, right? When it comes to video games, I always dreamt of meeting Jesper Kyd because of the Assassin's Creed, because of the Hitman, and I got to do it a few years ago in Film Music Festival in Krakow, right? So. And I respect Austin Wintory very much for his work, because he's great at what he does. And there are, you know, many more actually. The problem is that we create so much. We as a humanity, we create so much right now.
Close my window. That's why I can't hear him.
It's not humanly possible to be on track.
He's working
and keep
something
up
outside.
With everything. So
again,
you need to be also much more. I'm missing the word again. Conscious on you know, what are you gonna listen to, because there's not enough time basically to listen to all of that.
Yeah, it's hard if you now you talk, like when you talked about the whole process and like multiple things that you are kind of pulling inspiration from. It's an infinite amount, and you need to kind of know where you direct your attention to and which type of music you should be kind of following. But also I like that you said that you're not afraid to like break the rules and do things on your own, which I kind of feels like totally goes into what CDPR is, because we like to do rebellious stuff. We like to do things that are kind of edgy. And I feel like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Well,
there.
otherwise it would be boring as hell, right?
Yeah, it would be pretty much you're just checking the boxes that you're supposed to check. So it's another generic.
And
like,
then it's
music
like
soundtrack.
5, oh, finally, time to go home, right? Yeah. And I do not need to know what we think about this shit place right up till until
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, but I
morning,
think
right?
the
So
passion
it's not like
itself
this.
speaks for it, right? And I feel like you can see it throughout the company from different departments, from different people that you get to interact with, work on, and on the game itself, and you kind of see that this passion kind of follows through. Very important question: Team Tris or Team Yen?
Team Tris.
Okay, I thought
Tris.
Yen.
I'm a
Okay.
Freckle guy myself, so.
So
you know.
okay, makes a lot of sense.
Understandable.
Question also coming in from chat: what was your involvement on the Witcher 2 soundtrack?
So as I said, I joined the company 3 months before the PC release, so it wasn't, well, I probably shouldn't tell this, but 20 years it's a good occasion, and enough time has passed since The Witcher 2. But basically, when I joined the company and we had 3 months until release, there was a really, really big mess in the music. So I remember the prologue being completely implemented. Music-wise, so all the castle assaults that ended up with Leto killing the king was done, but outside of that, I think only Flotsam Village had some exploration music playing in the background, and other than that, the game was silent.
Okay.
There was no
So there
music
was
whatsoever.
a lot of
So
work to do.
yeah, my task was first and foremost to actually make the music happen in game. And work with the assets that has been already
Hey, greetings
composed,
to Macedonia, my friend.
right? And I had a
Welcome
chance
to the
to
stream.
expand on that a little bit with the enhanced edition, when we basically got another, I don't remember, 8 to 10 months to improve the game post-release, which ended up with changing the whole epilogue, right? I remember that it resulted in epilogue being like 3 or 4 hours longer, something like that. And that also meant the need of creating new music, because the music that has been done by Adam Skorupa and Krzysztof Wierzękiewicz for the second Witcher wasn't basically planned for those new things, because, well, they didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So my role was to fit into already existing score with new tracks. Also think about new implementation methods and new music with arena mode. We also made for the enhanced edition, which and I think that was it. Yeah, already.
Okay.
So which resulted in, I think, having about 30 minutes music, additional music written for that
Nice.
expanded edition. Yeah.
Nice. Really, really cool. Let's move on to Cyberpunk. There's one question about Cyberpunk, of course. You once spoke about the nature of Cyberpunk music, that it is more than just synthesizers and hard techno type of sounds. Can you elaborate on what exactly makes CDPR's Cyberpunk music what it is?
I think the thing that music punches you in the face and then takes all your money, basically. So that was the idea
Well
of like the core concept of Cyberpunk, right? So I obviously
Okay.
remembered, and again I had to tick that box that this is 2077. People have metal shit in their arms,
Yeah.
right? And I
Fully modified.
yeah,
some
and
of
I
them.
used to play CP 2020 as a teenager when I was in high school a little bit, so some memories there as well. So I was, I wasn't like all that. I didn't feel all that alienated in that world. But again, Adam Badowski made that clear very early that this is not a cyberpunk. This is the cyberpunk, because we are taking Mike Pondsmith's world, right, and we are adjusting it for the video game narratives, right? So a very well established concrete thing with this style over substance credo that flies around everywhere and every time. So for me, that was a clear indicator, where a creator of a thing tells you that it
Oh,
doesn't
man,
matter
XY,
what
you're
you
down
do.
bad,
You need to
man.
look cool while you're doing
Down
it,
bad.
right? You may lose or win, but like this is the core principle. You need to, you know, look fucking awesome and you know have a great pose and cool shit and you know stuff like that, right? So
Just be awesome.
so that like drives you back to this most primal, you know, emotion of basically, you know, the badassery, right?
Yeah.
So your
And there is a
impression
lot of
of
tracks which are just
what
badass,
what
right?
impression makes you would feel like a badass in this environment, and it doesn't really mean that only electronic music can make you feel that way, right?
Yep.
And since again creatively, in order to find our own formula, our own idea for cyberpunk world, since we based our music on 90s consciously instead of 80s, we wanted to like drive ourselves as much as possible away from the 80s and those you know, Stranger Things synthwave type of thing connotations, right? And show the people that our music is not rounded like balls, right? Like this is obviously, yeah, there are places when there's nighttime, when it rains, and you know you feel Ryan Gosling melancholic type, you know, and you drive the car through the city. Yes, they are there, but the essence of the world is not it, right?
It's not there. No.
Again, the essence of the world is that first of all, you're not the hero of the story. The city is. Second of all, nobody gives jack shit about you. And the city especially, and will chew you out and crap you out and you know leave you in the pool of your own blood on the street, right? So, and most of our endings, you die in the end, right? So like, what the hell, man? This is the game I'm gonna play. I invest my hours in, right? So, straight from the beginning, this game tells you what kind of vibe and emotions you are expecting. So
some jabs are being thrown.
When you think of music in terms of shapes, that means for me, our music is very pointy. In cyberpunk, right? And this pointiness you can get from overdriving synthesizers, you can overdrive guitars, you can overdrive drums, you can basically overdrive everything. So we did that, right?
So that was the idea. Nice, and I feel like it shows. Plus, I feel there is there are different radio stations there also. So there's the music is totally different. You can listen to whatever kind of works for you, which I personally very much enjoyed.
And the core design behind the radio station was based on the very same idea. So in the jazz is the only one exception because
hey, Shani.
I've decided that the whole like design of the station is made in a way that, again, it's not like the marketing team came to me and said, okay, we have our metrics and we need Hispanic station. Oh yeah, we need to sell the game to black guys. Okay, we need black music, we need Japanese music. Yeah, there's market there as well. No, it wasn't like this, right? So I was again approached with the Night City and had to figure out what kind of people are residents of Night City. So we're gonna have kids, teenagers, so we should have kind of music so they can listen to. So hence the presence of pop, Ass Cracks, Lizzy Weezy, and you know all that songs that sit within that range, right? We need to have some snob upper class type of music, right? So people those corpo higher up would listen to, right? So first clue was classical music, but okay, let's again change the things in the mix and make the jazz from the 60s and 70s our new classical music, right?
Black music.
We need to have music for the
performed
clubs, posh
and
clubs,
invented by black
and
people
more
through their
underground
culture.
clubs, right? So
Different
different
music.
type of electronic or techno-based music needs to sit there, right? We would like to have this that 20th century style rock music, right? So people can listen to like this oldie but goldie type of music, right?
It's the good stuff that I like.
The guitar-based rock music,
yes.
right? We wanted to have like electronic-based rock of music, type of rock music, because still people would probably 70 years from now or 50 years from now would like to
hear
listen to some permutation of rock. The same with hip-hop,
That's a
right?
nice
So
name of the band,
we
though.
knew it needs to be there. But okay, again, how we would like reimagine it so it fits the world, right? And every single style of the music we used instead of jazz is also kind of pointy. It's not like you're listening to pop station and you're gonna find like, you know, power ballads, singing about, you know, lost love and, you know, two lovers being apart from each other. No, for those of you who are interested, find transcription of Pon Pon Shit, for example, right? What this song is about, right? So it's not this. It's all pointy. It's all, you know, like overstimulated HD kind of thing.
And it fits the mood and the city. So that was the idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Last question, because we're done with the quest and we're running over an hour. What about working with different like composers? Like we have P.T. Adamczyk, we have Mikołaj Stroiński we're also working with, and much more. How is it in terms of, do you guys get along? Do you have different visions and then you collide those visions with each other? Or do you like have one big knowledge pool? Because all of your styles are different, right? But you're working on similar things. So where do you meet or where do you clash? What's the
They get drunk and they...
I think the biggest challenge actually is to it sounds easy, but it was much harder to actually achieve and, you know, have it work the way you would like it to realize your strengths and weaknesses, your own, also your teammates as well, and find out what kind of stuff you are really good at, and you know, based on that, try to split our work in a way that we can add the biggest value possible to the project with our involvement. That's one thing, but also, again, narratively, it still kind of works because you know, not many people may actually be aware of that potential problem, but for example, the musical consistency of our quests would be quite different if we wouldn't, instead of, you know, splitting ourselves with complete quests. So for example, P.T. Adamczyk, okay, you take the whole Johnny Silverhand path, for example, right? I take the cyberspace thing, right? And you are able to, you know, keep this whole thing consistent within its own story it has to tell, rather than, you know, different approach where, for example, I would do 2 tracks for this, and for that. PT would do the same, and then once, you know, the music is implemented and put together, it would turn out that, stylistically we are so far apart from each other in specific points that exactly it doesn't click, right? So splitting the game amongst us three, so Paul, PT, and me with Cyberpunk was also a thing we need to plan out very carefully in order to, you know, again, make sure that whatever every single one of us does, it's, you know, the best for the game, right?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Awesome. This was a great interview, I have to tell you. We're not really focusing a lot on the game itself, but I actually got to talk to you and ask you the questions that I've been meaning to ask you, and I think it's a
cool
occasion because it's 20 years.
It's actually really
CD
cool.
Projekt RED.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Amelie, who has been playing the game.
Amelie has been playing.
So kudos to you, and for not dying, which was the most important quest for today. And I know Chad always would point that out. So we made it safe. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Marcin, once again, thank you for joining me, and we shall see you next week for Blood and Wine, where you will be able to hear the music from that one, which I love dearly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Believe it or not.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for the questions. Catch you later.
See ya. Bye-bye.
All right. Let me just do this. All right. This was fun. This was actually really fun. Especially because, you know, music is such a big part of The Witcher 3, for example, and he was in charge of all of the music that you absolutely like, you know, La 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 and all of that, along with, obviously, with Percival, because Percival is a band which covers a lot of Slavic folk songs from various other countries, Bulgaria, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Poland, whatever. They cover a lot of those songs, and he remixed all of them, well, some of them, not all of them, for The Witcher, and I think it was beautiful. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be doing Gwent or are they gonna be doing Thronebreaker next, but after the Witcher stuff. But it will be. I'm sure they're going to do Thronebreaker. I'm pretty sure about that. When it comes to the rest, I don't know. I mean, there is definitely going to be a Gwent stream, because I mean you have a huge, or well, a very sizable Gwent community, and Gwent has been, you know, still going. They still have, I believe, tournaments, but I'm not really much in Gwent. Now I also want to cover this little thing before we even started about that Vogue stuff, political stuff, and I want to get it out of the way for the next couple of streams, so I don't talk about it anymore. I don't care about that. I don't care about who you sleep with in bed, how you identify as. I just care if you're a good person or a bad person. And most people where I come from judge you on that. So whenever they kind of say like, oh, Witcher is Vogue or Cyberpunk is Vogue, they need to listen to this interview and how it's being done and how it's being respected overall. Now, of course, the message that people talk about, the pandering and all of that, of course, that's bad. Of course. You know, putting characters in, changing characters which shouldn't be changed just to fit the narrative and not the story, yeah, that's problematic. But I don't know. That's pretty much what I think about it, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna talk about it when it comes to that. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild, man. Whenever politics gets involved, then I don't even like... Man. People legit ask me if I'm Republican or a Democrat. Dude, I'm not even American. But yeah, I hope we get to explore Nilfgaard. Oh man, you know, having Nilfgaard maybe in the next Witcher, that would be really cool. Do you see yourself doing more interviews in the future? On YouTube, yes. I actually have a few lined up which I'm waiting for. I'm not going to reveal the names, but those names are going to be interesting for this community. I'll just say that. Yeah. You have all kinds of characters in Cyberpunk, and it fits. And that's the most important part, is that in Cyberpunk, it's written in that way. Transhumanism is very much in Cyberpunk since the 80s or whatever, when it was actually written, or when Mike Pondsmith actually went into that. So all of that is represented, but it's represented in a very nice way, I think, in a very, how would I say, cool way. So it doesn't demean anyone else, but rather, you know, makes it expand your horizons a little bit in a very positive, normal way. So yeah, Lars, that's pretty much, you are true on that end. But yeah, next week we're gonna have Blood and Wine. That's also, I'm wondering who are they going to have for that next interview. But yeah, I have some interviews lined up, and I mean, yeah, I generally do interviews off the camera, but that's, I mean, I produce them. I'm not the guy interviewing. I'm the guy setting up the cameras and the lights and the scenery and everything, the background. Yeah. Night City only having one culture would be weird. Exactly. That's why I like how they have like different music, for example, different voices, and especially like, for example, Saburo only speaking Japanese, all of that, and it's translated. It fits and it's good. Yeah, it does. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to politics, I mean, man, I don't know. Like, I don't care who you sleep with, how you identify as, for as long as you're a good person, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, through my work, I met all kinds of people, especially if you're in theater or in film, or you're dealing with actors and whatever. There's gonna be all kinds of personalities, and you have to learn how to accept differences for as long as that someone is normal, of course, and you're normal, and things are going well properly. That's good. Update 1.6 when? August, I think. If they're gonna have a live stream in August, it might, or it might not happen, but who knows with CDPR anymore? Who knows? Cool that they said the music's supposed to punch you in the face and steal your money. I like how he said like, oh yeah, that's Cyberpunk, punch you in the face and take your money. But yeah, the music was great. I'm actually happy that it's not just synth, because, you know, anything can be synth. I can, like, for example, like, obviously in production, sound and music is one thing that I don't do, because number one, I don't know how to sing, number two, I don't know how to make music, number three, I'm deaf when it comes to playing music. I have absolutely tried, and I have absolutely failed. Of course, playing music is 10% talent, 90% work, but I don't have even that 10% talent for music. But yeah, But yeah, the music is great. The way it's being used, the way like if you were following actually how the music was created with all of those things they were using with cables, making those sounds work. That was great. That was absolutely great, and I loved it. Yeah, if it's just synth, it would be Blade Runner, and I mean, Cyberpunk is not just Blade Runner. Cyberpunk is much more than just Blade Runner. Blade Runner and that, you know, that style is just one style of Cyberpunk, and that's a cool thing because in the universe of Cyberpunk you can make whatever. You can have a horror story in Cyberpunk, mystery, detective story, drama, whatever. I mean, it's just the setting, and the setting is what makes people and that social aspect. Because even if you're making a horror cyberpunk story, you're going to take some of the social aspects of cyberpunk as a subgenre and you're going to include it so it fits. Hello, Sirinvas, my friend. No, they're not going to announce anything on these streams. Nothing was pretty much announced. Have I checked the Conrad? Yeah, of course. Conrad Old Money. That was good. I mean, I wish that some of those songs that they used were able to be actually live streamed when I'm playing Cyberpunk, but I mean, there were a decent amount of music which was actually licensed in a way and not specifically created for the game. That's why you can't play all of the music, sadly. Although on Twitch, I'm sure on Twitch you can play whatever. I mean, I see XQC and the rest of them playing like all kinds of music. Is it just for XQC that they can play that music and get away with it, or can anyone play music on Twitch and they can remove it later? Because I know that Twitch Video Player actually removes some of the copyrighted music, right? Yeah, but when it comes, Mass Effect was what? Okay. Yeah, but no, I'm not talking specifically about Conrad. I'm talking about other music as well, which was included. But yeah, the Conrad stuff is included, even if you put it on the... if you disable, most of those songs are still available. Pretty much. I've been in opera for over 30 years, and the only ones I had problems with were really crazy ones. Yeah, I mean, it's art, and people in art are all over the way. I think I would be demonetized worse. I mean, if I played any music which was copyrighted, I wouldn't be just demonetized, my stream would be taken down. And that's the problem with YouTube. That's the problem with streaming on YouTube, because a couple of seconds of a song can pretty much destroy your stream, you know. But Twitch handled that much better than YouTube, because YouTube is so intertwined with music videos and just music in general, is that you don't, those producers obviously and production houses and labels don't want that song being played anywhere else where it's not supposed to. So that's why all of the drama around it. But I think YouTube needs to handle that if they want to have a serious competition to Twitch. Because right now, like, look at this chat. There are no emotes. I have emotes, but you need to subscribe for them. But there is a definitive lack of the emotes themselves. That's what I was trying to say. And it just needs more. I know there is a program you can install and get all of those emotes and stuff, but it should be here. Yeah, I mean, I love YouTube. I mean, YouTube gave me a lot of what I have today, but it's definitely a very crazy moment right now, because the stuff you say, like, for example, what was happening in 2020, I still cannot talk about it, obviously. Even mentioning in terms of gaming, obviously, I wouldn't talk about the sea, what was, you know, it still is, you know, around us. I cannot talk about that because then I get demonetized and you get like a little banner down there. Oh, inform yourself about the sea thing, you know. The beer thing. I cannot even, you see how crazy it is? Even if I just say the word of that thing, even if in the context of video games, man. it's nuts, I mean. Yeah. Yeah, but YouTube needs to like up their game. Like for example, I want to have a proper moderation tools for my community. I want to have proper chat, proper live stream, and all of that, and it's not there. They're so slow with it. Like they say, oh, we have a lot of announcements coming, and then nothing happens. Yeah, that seed thing basically. What happened in the event? They talked about music with Marcin, the composer. And that's pretty much it. No announcements, but it was a good thing if you want to rewatch it. They talk a lot about making music and the process behind it, which at least for me is interesting. When you look at Twitch, there is Twitch Prime. When you now get with Amazon Prime, yeah, you have Amazon Prime, so basically can do Twitch Prime. You have bits. You have what else do you have? You have TT. I mean, you can have TTS here as well, but you have bits and all of those things, which are just more interesting to the viewers, and I think the experience is much better than it is on YouTube. YouTube looks way too professional. Even when I'm setting up stream, every single stream I set up has to be like a new video. On Twitch, I can just click live stream and that's about it. On Twitch, I can also change the title, change the text, change this, change that. On here, I can change the title, but even that is problematic. So yeah. Yeah, I cannot mention that. I cannot. If I mention it, even what's happening now in Ukraine, if I talk a lot about it, the system thinks I'm talking about it as a primary topic, and then it was wild, man. It was wild when the C thing was everywhere. Like I wanted to talk about it from a context of video games, like why the delays were happening, but I couldn't mention it because every time I do, it just demonetizes it and like, oh, you're talking about this and that. No, I'm not kidding. Just go to PewDiePie, for example. Even PewDiePie, when he was making videos around that time, he was saying like, we're not gonna mention that thing. Even he, who is huge, I mean, PewDiePie, the face of YouTube, the most amount of subs as a single person. And then he even cannot say it. So what am I gonna do? I cannot say it. I mean, I can, but it puts your video almost in a different algorithm. It's weird. Can you use Streamlabs with... I don't use Streamlabs, I use just the OBS. Streamlabs, by the way, that Streamlabs OBS thing, they were using OBS to basically like push it as their own product. It was never a color. That's why I'm not using Streamlabs. Out of pure respect towards the... I use the OBS Classic. Most likely because the company is too large, they go slower. Yeah, speech control is a bad thing. Yeah, I have been talking about it a lot. I mean, hiding ideas, like for example on Twitter, like for example when Elon was actually buying it, and they were like, oh, now we can speak about anything. I mean, yeah, having an opinion about anything, even if it's stupid, is an opinion, and you disarm that opinion, you dismantle that opinion, then it's gone. As soon as you try to hide radical opinions, they're going to surface in the next few months or years, because everything that was, whenever you ban something completely, it attracts people more, and it makes it into a whole different thing, you know, bubbling in below you. But if you dismantle all of the bad things with normal ideas and criticism, then that thing is gone. How to get Bosnian girlfriend? You come to Bosnia, my friend. YouTube hasn't figured out it has different age groups among its audience, so it will have, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And even audience that I have, like the audience that watches my channel, majority of audiences from 25 to 35, which is nice. Don't get me wrong, I like that. I like having audience which is not too childish, because, I mean, I don't even cover games which would attract younger audience, and I think it's easier for me to deal with audience which is kind of a my age. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so this is gonna be it for this stream. Next week, obviously, we're gonna be having Blood and Wine. Yeah, Blood and Wine. So that's gonna be interesting to see who are they gonna be talking with. But yeah. Is the trip worth it to Bosnia? I mean, if you're gonna visit Bosnia, you can also visit Serbia and Croatia as well, Slovenia. we're all kind of in this area, so I mean, that's what I recommend. You know, if you're gonna visit Bosnia, also go to Croatia, go to Serbia, Slovenia, Montenegro. It's great. I like actually touring Balkans a lot. Great people. Banning things can create whole subcultures. Yeah. When is 1.6? My guess is August, but that's just a guess, not based on anything substantial, to be honest. So just a wild guess. All right, thank you for stopping by. Tomorrow we have a new video. I'll probably upload the Star Wars one as a clip, so we'll see how that's gonna be working with the audience, and if it works, I'm gonna have a different LKM Clips channel where I'm gonna upload stuff from the stream, but because I wanted to actually stream more. But that's pretty much it. And yeah, that August release date for 1.6, that's just a wild guess, a wild opinion, not based on what CDPR said, so it could happen anyway. Damn, I'm late. Yeah, but you can rewatch it. You never wanted to move away from Bosnia. I like it here, but of course that people here are thinking of moving away. It comes with the, you know, the countries here which are all having similar issues, sadly. All right, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to visit us on Twitter and Discord. And also huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters who are supporting the channel. Thank you so much for that. And I'll see you everyone next time. Bye bye.